I started growing a container garden. I live on the 9th floors. So I decided to take some of my plants inside, and I'm wondering how, I want to experiment with that. I don't know if you've done that, but I brought in some tomatoes and some kale and cabbage.
Again, some things grow easier than others inside, but you need 3 things to grow. You need soil, you need water, and you need light. If you can get those things inside over the winter, you can grow. And then, again, get together with people who are doing this and collecting their own seeds, like black oaks. I keep mentioning black oaks. Everybody should find them online and find out what they're doing. So we can, people who they save their own seeds, and we can buy little packets of them, and they're just a little packet, and it'll be written on there $1, and it'll say the name of the thing. It's not fancy packaging or anything like that. And then again, there's seed saving and seed sharing. Right? We can share our seeds with one another. So those are the strategies for maintaining a good seed stock. I wanted to say something. It is the best storage option for maintaining the nutritional integrity of the food. Drying is the best. People will freeze, which is a good option, but it takes some of it out. Canning is a good option, but the best option for maintaining the nutritional integrity of the food is drying. And some have suggested that the drying process actually adds things, and I don't know enough of that science to be sure. But fresh is always the best. But I think the next best, according to what I know, is drying.
We have a family garden in Michigan where I grew up, and do you do like composting and saving the rainwater?
Composting is really important. That's part, because we have to understand this as a cycle that we control as a community. So I don't want to rely on anybody else but my community to be able to eat from day to day, year to year. And so if I'm not strengthening my soil through compost, if I'm not treating my soil right, then that means I have to be relying on somebody else to bring in some kinds of inputs that I have to buy to be able to maintain my soil integrity. So composting is very important. Saving rain is also a good idea. It's not something that I have done yet. I've been trying to get a rain barrel forever. And our one community garden, we can't do it because it's an open community garden. There's no fencing or anything. And it'll be taken. Somebody's going to take it. So we can't put any structures up there. So we don't do it there. And then there's the issue of at home having a rain barrel and changing some things around the house that I have to work out with my significant other. So haven't done that either. But in terms of the whole process, saving rain is a really good idea.
Stand up.
He asked about hydroponics.
Isn't that a way you can grow your food inside?
Yes. Again, the thing with hydroponics, and the reason why I haven't gotten involved with hydroponics is because it requires external inputs that I have no control over. It requires that I use the lights and the gas and the things. So I don't do it, but at this point, for a lot of people, it's a good idea. I know people who are involved in what is called aquaponics. Growing, it's a really nice idea if you got energy. If you don't have energy, it's not as simple to do, but there's other ways of doing it. There's traditional ways of doing it. But aquaponics is the idea of growing fish and using the fish emulsions to then circulate to plants, so then plants grow. And then there's this cycle that is created. And it's a great idea, and it feeds up. You can grow a lot of food through aquaponics and grow a lot of fish, and the fish tastes really good. Chicago State has an aquaponics center that I've eaten from. They have a contract with the Healthy Food Hub. It's local and all these kinds of things. But again, if there's an energy crisis, which there will be an energy crisis, aquaponics will no longer work. You have this beautiful system that won't work for you. So that's why I'm staying away from aquaponics and hydroponics. But at this point in time, you can do it. I just want to put my efforts towards learning more and more how to produce food outside of the carbon-based economy. Right? Who else? Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
As you're establishing your own home garden, like containers, within your own backyard, how do you repel like pests or even my own dog who
Yeah.
naturally believes that a container is where he's supposed
To go.
dig up and put his bone, which took away my collars this year.
Yeah, I've had troubles with animals too. There's lots of strategies.
Without going to poisons and things like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Oh, there's lots of strategies. One of the basic strategies that I have had for the last few years with my own greens at home, and I started growing collard greens because that's what I knew about, and so I grow a lot of collard greens. And my basic strategy is grow tons of it, more than the bugs can eat. That's one strategy. Okay, it's not always going to help because you may have a real infestation with bugs, and you got to do something about it. But another thing that people do is they do companion planting. So you grow crops together that have properties that help each other out. Okay, or we always grow in our gardens. Although in the Roseland garden we didn't do it this year, but in my two other gardens we always grow flowers that repel insects. So we grow tons of marigolds. I had marigolds everywhere in my backyard, and a good set of marigolds in the Inglewood garden that we have. And then there's other things. There's other techniques. Growing garlic and onions and things like this have a repellent effect. There's lots of things you can do that you can put. One of the really nice things to do is get good friendly bugs, and the one that is, of course, really beautiful is ladybugs. So get a bunch of ladybugs and let them go in your garden, and they'll stay because there's food there, because there's the other bugs. Right? So ladybugs is really good, and another really, I think, very interesting insect to look at in your garden is praying mantis. Right? So we get these. So there's using pests. You can use companion planting, and then there are organic pesticides and herbicides. In my home compost bin, I had compost in there that was a couple years old, and there was all this liquid at the bottom of it. You know when something rots, it like liquefies and it really grosses you out? Right? That is really highly nutritious food for your garden. And so in my compost pile, I had all this, it was a big garbage container, right? Big, the black ones, the big black ones the city uses. I put my food waste in it and other stuff, and over a couple year period, it was just a bunch of gallons and gallons of liquid at the bottom. I poked a hole in the garbage can, it just came shooting out. And I collected all this stuff. And it helps with pests, and it helps with, introducing good microbes to your soil and to your plant. So the most important thing about pest control is having healthy plants. So if you have healthy soil, you have a healthy plant, and that's the best way to repel insects. So there's all kinds of things. It's a matter of learning different stuff, getting together with people who have a little bit of knowledge and exchanging it with them. I learn every day that I'm out there with people. So, I've only been concentrating on these gardens as a worker in the gardens for the last 3 seasons. I've been growing food all my life. But in terms of thinking about the things I was telling you today, this is a very new experiment for me. And so my learning curve is still going up like this. Okay? There's lots of options out there, and all kinds of information locally from our neighbors, as well as, of course, we all have access to the internet now. Type in, good, I don't know what the word would be, something about bugs, good bugs, and there'll be a whole list of information that you can get to. Or go to some of these places, these gardening sites, and you can buy a pound of ladybugs or whatever it is. You can buy a pound of praying mantises, and they'll ship them to you, and you just let them go. It's as easy as that. Yes, ma'am. She was asking about how do you recognize when the green, or the lettuce is bolting. What they generally do is they put out a shoot that goes like this in the air, right? And then you start to see little seed pods. There'll be a flower. In most cases, there'll be a little bit of a flower. And then as that flower withers, you see the pods coming out, and those are the seeds. And you find that that's how the collards and the mustard greens work. Some of the lettuces work exactly like that. So you will see it because the first signs are the leaves that start to come out will start to look a little bit different, and then you will see that thing coming out. And those are your seeds, and they grow in pods. You let the pods dry on the plant, and once they're dry on the plant, you take them off, and then you just open the pod and the seeds come out. Congratulations.
And the sad part is that I didn't get any of it because the raccoons came to me after. What can I do? I got one little piece of this big, and that's it this year. But how do I get them out of there?
The raccoons are a tough one. Because you put up a fence, they can climb over the fence, or they can go under a fence. Now there's easy techniques to stop them from going under, right? But if they are able to climb, it's much more difficult. There are again, some of these places that do organic gardening and things like that, they have all kinds of large pest repellent kinds of things. So there's stuff like animal urine and things that you can get, and that they smell the urine and then they think, well, there's an animal here, a big animal that will harm me if I go in there, and so then they stay away. So there's that kind of thing. There's a lot of different techniques for that, and that's one that people that I've known have been doing for a very long time. The idea of urine, people do that with hunting and things like that as well. So it is a good, organic, safe way to keep out those kinds of pests. But there's lots of different kinds of techniques. And the raccoons probably won't be afraid of a scarecrow. That's not going to work for your purposes. But it sometimes works for birds. But there's a lot of things out there. Go to some of these stores. Again, if you take my information down, email me and I can say, well, this is the best place I found for buying herbicides, organic herbicides, or pest repellent or whatever. Yes, ma'am.